Well folks, welcome back to the workshop. Today we've got a few grinders on for repair, this here lot, and a few Makita 9-inch ones out the back as well. I thought I'd do a wee repair-a-thon video for you, see if we can get any of these here fixed up again. Some of them have clearly done quite a bit of work. This Makita especially. See, we've got straw growing out of the motor. Where was that thing excavated from? Clearly that hasn't been used in an awful long time. She's 2015. Perhaps we'll start with this. Right enough, there's actually straw inside the motor. Right, something's going on here anyway. First off, we'll see, did the brushes come out? Nope, that one's jammed on there. Even that cover, yeah, she's a bit burnt. Right, when they get that bad, it's questionable if they were able to be fixed. Everything can be fixed, but at a certain point they become not worth fixing. Got a whole spider family living in here at some stage. But you know, doesn't look bad. Here's the main problem down in here. Actually hasn't done an awful lot of work. Normally these fields get absolutely caked with metal filings. That's not very much at all. And see, this thing was overused. Overheated it, melted the brushes into the brush holder and stopped. And it was just thrown in a shed or a barn somewhere up until now. Look at that. Which is all there. Cobwebs and all. That's the problem. That one's moving. This one's not. That's what the clicking sound is. Just crack the brushes as well. That must be getting fouled up somewhere. Right, we don't know for certain if this armature is good or not. It's too small to put on the growler. Only way you're going to know, replace the brush holder and the brushes, put it back together again and test it. And see what she actually runs like and see how she sounds. If it sounds good, she's good to go. But if she sounds terrible and low in power, you know the armature's gone. This could also do with a good clean. So what do I do here? Do I replace the parts now and test it, or do I just go ahead and strip it further and clean the parts? The hassle that's on it, I'm just going to clean the rest of it now. Hopefully we get away with this. 2 caps, 2 covers, brushes, and an end bell. Red wire to the red side. Don't mix them up, otherwise the grinder is going to run in reverse. It's not a big deal, it's easy enough to fix again. But it just means you have to open it a second time. Leg for the switch just drops on there. It's just a loose fit. Your stator or yoke sits there. And close her up. Nothing to these things. Not a bad wee machine, but they're only made for light work. For the odd wee cut, get you out of a jam, just to save you having to pull out a lead. Problems come when boys start using it for things they're not meant to be used for. I've had them in before, people complaining because they've only done a little bit of work and they've burnt out and they're basically brand new. I had one fellow coming in complaining that his stopped working. He said I was only using it to actually grind off all the old tile adhesive off an entire bathroom with one of them diamond cup wheels. He got it halfway through the job after running for 2 hours and stopped running. Completely melted it. These things are good for short work, but they're not capable of replacing a corded machine. A little bit of grease in there, not much. There's also no guard on this thing, but that shouldn't matter. If you want a grinder for doing heavier work, running for longer, and less chance of actually burning it out, always buy the brushless ones. Far better tool, plus they're way more power. Difference in a brushed drill and a brushless drill ain't all that much. When it comes to a grinder or a circular saw, there's a massive difference. Way more power, way more speed. Look at that. She loves again. That's one done. All them parts, labour and VAT included, costs about €45. The grinder itself costs about €130 to buy, so it's well worth doing. If you're doing it at home and you actually have burnt out your motor, it would actually still worthwhile replacing the armature. You also have to replace the yoke, the stator inside. Probably wouldn't be worth it, but armature's burnt out, the stator's fine, it would still be worth replacing it. For me to do it here, charging, you'd be into about half the price of the machine or over, so it might not be worth it for me to do it. But the likes of this repair is well worthwhile. Now, the next one's not a grinder, it's actually a sander. It's actually a Sealey one, a Sealey Pro Tools, a DAS150T. It's a 6-inch Velcro sander. The question is, what's wrong with it? She's running. But not running right. Right, there's a bearing gone there. So I have to dismantle that to change this bearing. So the bearing's gone up in here. That one's not good. And there's something else gone too, so I'll strip it down and see here. It may look overly complicated, but really, once you pull off the top, it's basically just a 4.5-inch grinder. That's all it is. Grinder with variable speed and attachment at the front. Don't recall these ever being so tight. So they're gone, they're too loose, and that's gone. Bearing up on here and the head, that's way too tight. Brushes are okay. Let's get them out of the way for now. That bearing's gone too. And there's also something going on there. So we'll change that bearing. Now, to get this out, this bearing, just stick a metric fine bolt into the thread. Give this a wee bit of heat. We should be able to pull that out. There we go. The bottom then should be a bolt for actually holding on this here head. That doesn't even look to be all that tight. Just not. There we go. Gets that off. It's still hot. So is this cover. And that is the bad bearing. Right, so what way is this? I don't know if that is part of the housing or a wee threaded insert. case, that's part of the housing itself. So that spindle has to come out this way. Normally the bearing will be held in by a C-clip. So if I press this out, I could bust the housing holding the C-clip. So first we'll try to check the gear itself off, then we can access the C-clip then. There's a wee C-clip on top of that as well. Needs to come off first. Yeah, and a wee wave washer. We'll see if we can get this off. And that's a job. That's her. Actually, it wasn't even all that tight. Now, don't forget your little keyway for actually locking that gear in place. Now we should be able to press out that gear. Lovely job. Now that wasn't even all that tight. So if you have one of these at home, because generally Sealey's going to be a DIY tool, you're probably not going to have a bearing press. If you have the same trouble, you could probably get that out with a few taps of a hammer as well. They just weren't that tight. That on the other hand, you will need some sort of bearing puller to get this one off. What have we got? 6201. This is the first bearing, one of many. Press that on. I wouldn't say this has done an awful lot of work. It's just not all that tight. You could easily do that at home. You can get the hairdryer out. There's one. The keyway back in again. See what I mean? Don't need a bearing press at all. That's the first piece. I'll just give that a wee quick clean. Go with these next. So these are held on by a C-clip. That might be tricky to get out. It's a very tight space. Sometimes circular pliers don't really get in far enough. But if a fine enough pair, you might be able to get it out. That or just prise it out. one off, continue on for the other. That was not as bad, but it's still gone. And that's a 6001. Two of those. Press them on. Much better. Like this, put back together again now, keep the dust out. Not actually much holding this on. Much better. Looking better already. Top that grease up just a little bit. Set that to one side. .607 there. And that one is a 6000 bearing. help this slide in. Just put a little bit of grease on the bottom, this little rubber grommet. That's just a wee packer to pack out the bearing for the housing. Also means if that bearing goes bad, fails completely and overheats and starts burning, it doesn't burn out the plastic housing. It'll heat up this rubber first, which will be a wee bit more heat tolerant. So it ends up saving the machine in the long run. Still plenty of meat in these brushes as well. Only about halfway worn. They should be okay for another while. But dear enough replacing all these bearings. You don't want to also add on a set of brushes onto it. They don't need to be changed. This won't actually be the most expensive repair in the world. In the context of the price of this machine, which is about €200. It's probably as much as you would want to spend. The base isn't great, but it does still hold in the sandpaper, so we'll leave that for now. Now you do get a special spanner for taking these off. I'm just going to use an M14. It's been ground down flat, so I ain't got the special spanner that's flat enough to go onto here. Tighten that up, and that should hopefully be us. Look at that. One Sealey sander, 6 new bearings. There might only be 6 bearings put into it. That repair is still costing roughly around €60. A wee bit more if you had to change the base in it as well, but I think you can pick them up for like €10 or €15. They're not very expensive. But still, €60 is as much as you want to spend on something that costs 200, and it's only a Sealey at the end of the day. If you're doing it yourself, you're only going to be out the price of the bearings, not the labour. And you can just buy cheaper bearings if you want. These are actually FAG ones. They cost a wee bit more. That's her. Ready to go. Now, these last 2 small grinders, I'm not going to hold my breath on them. That's actually a woven lead. What if I cut that off an iron or something? It's definitely heavy duty enough for this here anyway. It's very free. These, I would say, are quite old. It looks like 2008. We'll see what they're doing. Maybe. It's not doing anything. Doesn't look bad. Might just be a set of brushes. Them ones are definitely gone. There's absolutely nothing left of that one. It was actually all the way down to the wire. Hopefully it didn't damage the armature now. Hopefully, a new set of brushes will sort this. CB325s. Well, at least he's put the lead on right anyway. Sometimes that can't catch people out. It's a wee bit off, should look down here, but it's close enough. No joy. That motor's gone. Not much point in doing anything else with that. You could replace the armature, but it'd be well over half the price of the machine to do that. That it's just a no-go. And then the next one is a Bosch. This is the GWS 7/115. So obviously been used for grinding, you know. Grinding dust that's on it, and it is well worn down. Nothing. Looks like it's just a set of brushes. It looks like they were already taken out, or that motor was taken out. Looks like that column bar has been cleaned or something. Shock of that. It's not plugged in. Must just be from the capacitor or something. That one's not popped. That one's broken. That'll be why it stopped then. And that one actually did pop. The spring's exposed, the wee insert's gone. Hopefully this one's a little bit more tolerant. It hasn't actually burnt out. Now, does she work? Nice one. At least that's one of the two 4.5-inch grinders going. It's got a good long lead in this thing anyway. Right, that's that one. Just a set of brushes. Now, next up, first of the two big ones. Makita 9-inch grinder. Don't even know which one these are. Either a GA9020 or a GA9040. I would say that one is actually a GA9020, a smaller one, 2000 watt motor. She's also been fitted with a higher ampage fuse as well. Nice wee bit of tin foil on there. Let's see what's wrong with her. She's not starting for a start. Is that the problem, or was he just guessing? No, he was just guessing. Fuse is okay. Not the brushes either. Armature looks okay. And she's seen heat. And in there, where the brushes go on, these two brass inserts, they're connected onto the field with brass springs. This one here, down this side, you can see it's been stretched out, so it's been overheated at a stage and stretched that spring, but it's still attached, so we'll leave that alone. Check in here, maybe this is just a leak. Or it could be the capacitor. Sometimes if they're making bad contact or gone on their own, they can stop the machine. But if you remove it completely, you can help fix it. That side's okay. Yep. Just a lead. I thought that lead looked alright whenever I took it on. Just goes to show, can't go by the look of it. Take this out at all, but at least we know the bearings are still good. Now, hopefully that's all she needs. That's her. One Makita GA9020 with a new lead and a plug. Now, last one for today is the same machine, Makita GA9020. So that's what the last one probably was as well. This one's 2017. It's actually from the same customer. It's actually a different voltage. This one's 110 volt. The last one was 240. Now, let's see what this one's doing. Same thing. Nothing. Brushes were opened. Yep. Might be a very simple one. Now, a wee tip for brushes for these here. These grinders actually take these ones here. CB204 brushes. These things cost about €24 for one set of brushes. These CB203s are nearly identical. They're the same length and the same thickness and same width. The only difference is the 204s, this wee piece at the top that locates the spring. The 203s doesn't have that. Biggest difference in them is the price. Like I say, these cost €24. These cost 12. These CB203s are nearly half the price. And they'll do the exact same job. Generally, I will use the 204s because they're for these machines. But when the machine gets to this sort of age and has done this amount of work, sometimes just use the 203s instead, just to keep the cost down for the customer. Because at the end of the day, you don't know how much this thing's actually done, and you don't know how much longer it's going to last. Change of the brushes is going to get it going again, no problem. At the end of the day, it's still a 2017 machine, and it's not going to last forever. So you hardly want to put on a big expensive repair bill for it. Using the 203s will just keep the cost down just a little bit. Makes it a wee bit more palatable to get it repaired. You can use either set, but when they've done this amount of work, I would generally just use the 203s. Plus, the other way of looking at it, if that armature turns out to be bad, has a broken segment or an unevenness to it, and she starts sparking heavily, I'll have only destroyed a cheaper set of brushes instead of an expensive set of brushes. Now, does that fix it? That's her. A nice easy fix to round off this wee tool repair marathon. It's not going too bad. That's 6 machines looked at. 5 of them were actually repaired. Only one of them wasn't worth fixing. That's not doing too bad. Anyway folks, thanks for watching this longer tool repair marathon video. Hope you enjoyed it. Give us a wee like and a follow if you're liking the videos. If there's any suggestions, put them in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching.